Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and this package came to me a day too late to be in this week's fan mail and Q&A video, and I didn't want to wait 2 weeks to open it because it has stuff that I want to put on the wall for this video. So, this comes to me from Corporal Fusco of the Auxiliary, and should have some pretty spiffy stuff in it. We shall see. We shall see. Well, first of all, there is a Titan. Seems to have led a rough life. But it holds there. You'll then also notice there is a blue Titan. And this is the one that I'm really excited for because it's one of the last items I needed for one of the years in the collection. So that is awesome. That will be going up immediately. There is, as we can see, a Titan rocket. I did not know that that was going to be in there. That is pretty snazzy. There is the double crossbow, which has also led a rough life, but I'm dead certain. Oh, it's missing its lower post. Well, that's okay. Once again, I prefer having the broken ones on the wall because it means they're not being wasted. We have an old Hyperfire. I'm pretty sure I already have this one, but that's quite alright. And then we have a 95 crossbow. A good lord. I don't think the prod is in here. Oh, the Hyperfire. The red and the blue. Cool. Oh, look! A note. Captain Xavier, apologies for my lousy handwriting. Included in the box of goodies is a variety of items, most of which we have discussed. Unfortunately, I didn't have a Maryland flag to send you with this package, but if you don't get one before, then I'll send you one of my next package. I actually already have two. Keep up the work. Your videos never fail to entertain, and MakerSpace already seems to be inspiring good in the community. I look forward to joining you for more events in 2020. I have substantially improved my tactical mosey since Penn State. Best regards, Corporal Joe. Nick says my last name counts as a cool name, Fusco. Bangarang! Awesome. Awesome. So, we have a 95 crossbow. It doesn't look like this one has the prod either. They never have the prod. But such is life. However, this one is unmodified, whereas the one that I have on the wall currently, mine, has been very heavily modified, and so this one will be a little more fitting even without the prod. Someday I hope to find one with the prod, but very cool. He wasn't ever going to modify it. These were incredibly valuable back in the day, and they still are very valuable, but they were very easy to very heavily modify. You could put in a huge plunger. It has a huge plunger tube, and you could modify it and single it, and they'd use the old inline hopper type stuff. But now with the advent of all the 3D printed blasters out there, and I mean even like the Prophecy is pretty much as powerful as you would get one of these. You could get these up pretty high, but compared to like Caliburns and Talon Claws, they're less of a demand for these, and so he wasn't planning to modify it, and so he decided to donate it, which is awesome. Now let's take a look at what I'm also thoroughly excited for, if what's in here is what I think it is. Good lord, all of the ammo in all of the land. So we have one very tragically mangled purple arrow, but we have some of the original Bow's arrow. Though it's also a little bit mangled, but again, going on the wall. I'm not sure which bow these came with. I may have to look in to see which ones went with what, because looks like there's a lot of... Oh, nice! A clip for one of the old Mega Blasters. Some small rockets. Probably, I think these go for the Missile Blast. That. This one goes to the T3 Defender. Very cool. Even more. Good night. Oh, another one. Those purple ones just don't seem to last. I would like to have as much done. Criminy! immediately! Where did you get all of these? How? Where? What? It doesn't end. It keeps going. We've got some... Oh, look at that. It's the little ones. I have the blaster for this, but didn't have any darts. Now I've got some darts for it. Nice, nice. Some reactor balls. Can never have too many. Reactor balls. Good. There's a bag of that size. Good Lord. A whole mess of very messed up. Nice. Oh, these blasters are going to look so much cooler with all of their ammo and all of their holders and loaded and all of that. Good Lord, sir. I did not know this much old Mega even still existed. Where did you get all of this? That good... I just... Oh. Lord have mercy. Ugh. Alright. Old reactor balls. Small missiles. I was, you'll recall in yesterday's fan mail video, I got a bunch of these in package. And I didn't want to open the package, which was kind of, you know, like, well, how am I supposed to be able to actually test the blasters that these go on if the only ammo I have for them are in package? But now that's not an issue. All right, that is just insane. I'm absolutely gobsmacked. That is, I had, he'd mentioned there was some old ammo. I had no idea the scale of what he was sending me. A lot of these, as you can see, are in really rough condition, but since I plan to put them up on the wall, either in the blasters or in their dart holders or whatnot, the fact that they are absolutely mangled shouldn't matter all that much. Getting all of those arrows still absolutely baffles me. I think I was only missing 2, 3? Looks like I need 3 more to fill out the bows that are on the wall, so I've got them. I don't know what I'll do with the other ones. That is absolutely amazing. Joe, you, sir, are awesome. Let's get these on the wall, and I will do a walkthrough of the current state of the collection, because it's pretty cool at this point. All right, so I'm going to go over the whole collection in reverse chronological order. Talk about notable aspects of the various years, and then I'm going to show which ones I'm still missing. So I'll have, you'll be able to actually see exactly what I'm missing from each year. And this is just the stuff that I know about that's on the Nerf wiki. Obviously, there's been a number of blasters that have shown up in this collection that I didn't even know existed when I started this, because they're not listed on the Nerf wiki. So if you have something that is obscure or weird or an off-brand or something that you think would make a good addition, feel free to let me know. So the collection goes from 1970 to 2007. And that's when I cut off the collection because, frankly, I ran out of wall space. Also, after 2007, you really get into N-Strike. And then N-Strike Elite and Mega and Rival and all that. And quite frankly, they get less interesting looking. They're kind of boring at that point. They all look more or less the same as far as aesthetics. You know, they're all the same color, they're all the same general design, whereas a lot of what you're going to see on here, there is no similarity between the blasters within the same year or the same series, and I think that's actually really cool. So, 2007, we saw the Element came out that year, as well as the Mag Strike. There were also a couple of Transformers blasters and the Spider-Man blasters. I had actually thought that the licensed stuff, Transformers stuff, Marvel stuff, was more recent than that. And the fact that it goes back all the way to here was kind of interesting to me. So he also, of course, had the yellow Long Strike that was released this year. Then in 2006 was when the first Long Strike, the blue Long Strike, came out. There was also a number of Busby blasters that came out that year. And they were also still releasing ball blasters, the reactor balls, the green ones. There were a bunch that came out this year as well. Also some Star Wars blasters and that Lego blaster that I found at Goodwill. I decided to to put it up in here because the Lego room currently doesn't exist, and I had a little extra space on this section of the wall. So I do need to get a package of unopened streamlines. Train? Because streamlines came out with, well, when they released the long shot, of course, because you had to have streamlines for the magazine blasters. All right, let's pop back 2 more years. I apologize for all the lighting. This is right underneath the shop lights, and they are not good for filming. I will eventually be replacing the neon lights with LED lights over all the workbenches and get much better lighting in here, especially since it'll then show off the collection better. Right now the lighting in here is atrocious for actually seeing anything. But here we have where N-Strike first came out. N-Strike came out in 2005 with the Firefly, Maverick, and Nightfinder. Now the Nightfinder, there were earlier versions of the Nightfinder, but they were not officially N-Strike, I don't think. I could be entirely wrong about that. You also see the birth of the Dart Tag line with the Dart Tag Hyperfires and the Crossfires and also Nightfinders. You also see this was when Busby really kind of got into the game with their Tech line, the Tech 10, the Tech 6, and that triple mech orc bolter looking thing up in the right corner, 2006. Some more Star Wars blasters were released in this year. They also have the Blue Titan and the Blue Hornet. I don't believe there was ever actually a Blue Scout. Now there was a blue and green Scout, but it didn't really match those ones. There wasn't a full Unity system for whatever reason. We also had a re-release of the Big Bad Bow, and a couple of weird off-brand ones down in the bottom right-hand corner. I have no idea what the story is behind those, but I've had that purple thing for a while. It's a weird one. Incidentally, so far all of these years are complete. I actually have everything all the way back to 2002. So these ones are both complete as well. So very cool. Let's move on to the next 2 years. 2003, 2002, we saw the first of the Titans, the Titan Unity system. The Scout is attached there. I don't know how well it shows up, but it is there. Some more ball launchers, that shoulder-fired Hopper 1 with the crank. That was a weird one I picked up a long time ago and I've just been holding on to and finally had a place for it. That red and yellow thing in the middle is just weird. When you pull, it has a trigger, but it is a ball launching hamp. When you pull the trigger and operate the hamp, a very bright strobe light goes off in that blue tube, and I can only assume it is to induce seizures in your opponents, because nothing else makes sense. There's also some kind of a off-brand rocket launcher, kind of XBZ looking thing. Then you go back to 2002, and that year was all things AirTech. So I have, I believe, all of them. There wasn't a whole lot released that year, so I went ahead and got variants, the different colors. I don't have all of them, but I've got most of them. I also have the Nerf Pen. That little thing down between the 2 smallest ones is a pen with a blaster that folds out and can be shot. It's silly. I need to do a video on it. Somebody sent me one a long time ago to using K26, and I haven't done it yet, and I need to so I can send it back. This year there was something that I don't have. There was a Jango Fett action set, a pair of his silver, those chromed pistols of his. There is a dart set of those that I don't have and would love to get my hands on eventually, but that's the only thing that I'm missing from that year. Next, 2000 and 2001 are definitely the leanest years currently, and I am missing stuff from both of these years. I am missing the Slingfire DX400, and I was missing the Striker Slingshot, but just before I started filming this, somebody pinged me on Facebook that they had one and they will be sending it to me. So that is awesome. I will only be missing one blaster from 2001. 2000, however, is missing a number of blasters. I'm missing something called the Stinger, which I've never seen anybody have ever. The Switch Shots Super, the Supermax 350, and the motorized disc launcher, which that one's probably never going to see the light of day. But I'd like to get those to try to fill these years out. Again, this was also the first, the Ballzooka, the electronic Ballzooka up there on 2000. That was the first Nerf flywheel blaster, but not the first Nerf flywheel blaster in the collection. It was just the first one that was actually produced by Nerf. So we will see some more of that. Let's get on to the next 2 years. This, in my opinion, is where the collection really starts getting interesting and pretty, where there's just no discernible pattern to anything at this point. Not everything here is Nerf. Those bottom ones are Vortex, the pre-Nerf Vortex. These ones fired a ring rather than a disc and were weird, and I want to play around with them. Also, you'll notice that there's a lot more ammo in this era, because thanks to Corporal Fusco from the video, from the early part of this video, another train, I have a lot more of the ammo, and I was able to put ammo on the blasters, which I think really enhances the look of them in the collection, having ammo in their dart holders or in their barrels or on their posts as much as possible. I do have a pack of the original Ballistic Ball ammo up there. It was listed as being this year, though this wasn't the first year where Ballistic Balls showed up, but that's just where that particular package was labeled from. So I have everything from 1999. In 1998, I was missing the quad launcher, but it turns out Fusco had that. It just didn't get sent in the package that he sent. So he's going to be sending me that. I'm also missing the Supermax 5000, which I doubt I will ever get my hands on. And as you can see, there isn't a whole lot of room for it anyway. I could make room, but it would be a bit of a squeeze. I'm also missing the Supermax disc shooter, which was sent to me many years ago, though it ended up going to the curator. So it may end up back here in this collection if we can figure out where on earth it went in his warehouse, because I would really like to get that one up there. Now we're getting back into the weird stuff, the Max Force and the Cyber Strike lines, which were fantastic series. They really were. The stuff that looked like bugs and the cyberpunk stuff that mounted to your head or your arm or your torso. Just really, really cool stuff. I have everything, well, let's see. From 1997, I am missing the Armor Shot, which I've also never actually seen in person, and that'd be another one. As you can see, that year is pretty full. It would be kind of tricky to fit anything else in that year. 1996, I am missing the Switchfire and the Whip Shot. Also ones I've never actually seen. I would like to get the other color of Manta Ray just to have that complete set, because those would look really, really cool side by side. I've got the teal one. There's a purple one that I would love to get my hands on. All right, moving on to some more big years. 94 and 95. This is where it really kicked off for Nerf. As you can see, just a huge variety of stuff. You see the early Max Force, which were less animal-shaped, but more just kind of animal-themed. But then in 95, you start getting a little bit more weirdly animal-shaped stuff. Obviously, you've got the 95 Crossbow in there, and the Ultimator and the Maximizer. Ball launchers existed at this point as well. There were also still the small rocket launchers, as well as the big arrow launchers. That particular bow there in 94 was sent to me in fan mail. If you saw that video, it was sent to me by the mother of a fan who had it since she was a child and had fired it like 5 times, but still had it and its ammo, and overheard me talking about it in the video and decided to send it. And it was one that I had written off as never going to be found, because it's apparently very rare, and especially the ammo, because the ammo is sonic. It makes noise as it flies, and it's really, really cool. In 95, I'm missing the Bat Missile Launcher. I have that Bat Signal Blaster, but there's also apparently a missile launcher. I don't have that, and I don't have any of the Supermax line from 1995. There is a 700, a 2500, a 5000, and a 9000. And those are also, again, very rare, very hard to come by, and as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of room in 1995 anyway, so not so bothered about not having those. I could fit a couple, you know, I could obviously condense them down a little bit and sneak those little ones into the gaps, and I could make room if I really needed to, if those should ever show up. And then in 94, I'm missing a couple of small ones, the Quick Strike and the Rocket Storm, which are the little kind that would probably have either gotten broken or thrown away rather than kept and donated because of how small and relative they are. I'm also missing the Supermax 1500, which arguably practically doesn't exist. I hear there's like 3 known to have ever made it into circulation. I think they were a prototype that didn't actually get released. Something like that. Super rare. And again, I don't have room for them anyway, so not terribly bothered. I'd love to get the 2 small ones. Moving on. We're once again right under the light, and I apologize for that, but there's nothing that can be done about it. 93, for the longest time, was the most empty because the only thing I had was the Aerostorm. And then I picked up that small one, which I can't remember the name of. And then at Ragnarok Oktoberfest, I was given the one at the bottom right, that black and yellow one, which I have no idea what it is. It's just a pull and release revolver. I decided to go ahead and put the orange and purple slingshot in this year. Technically, I believe it was released in the next year, but there was no room in the next year, and this one had room. That black and red thing is the first flywheel blaster that I know of. It fires ballistic ball size stuff. It usually had a collapsible hopper that went out the top. I've had that one forever. I have no idea if that one even works. One was sold in pristine condition at, or was auctioned off, was raffled off at West vs. Zombies, and I really wish I could have gotten it, but I didn't win. And then those 2 ball launchers at the top fire a smaller ball, and I believe they actually do have an air tank. Yeah, they actually are pumped up. And Sergeant Deplorable found those at a Value Village, I think, and they had the 2 different colors. So I was able to fill out 1993 a little bit. I am still missing one called the Detonator and the Ramrod. And they both show up on eBay, but they show up for like 40 to 50 bucks new in package, and I don't want them in package. I'd love to find them not in package if any of you happen to have them. Then 92 was when the first actual, what we would really consider a blaster, what we would qualify as a blaster, it has a prime that it holds a prime and you pull a trigger and it releases in the sharpshooter there. Also a reskin of the bow, the little tiny Aerostorm thing, which I now have arrows for, again, thanks to Fusco. The Master Blaster, which in a recent Forgotten Nerf with the Curator, we got it wrong. We were calling the Blastable the Master Blaster, and we both got it wrong for the entire video, and then I got it right, finally got it right at the very, very end. But that is the actual Master Blaster. It fires 2 balls at once, I believe. And I again have both variants. There was a blue and a purple. There's also a blue and a purple of the sharpshooter, and I'd like to get a hold of the purple one so I can have both, because this is another year that's it's a little bit more lean. I have everything from that year, unless there were any off-brand stuff that I don't know about, and it's not quite as full as some of the other years. So if I were able to get a hold of the other variant, that would be pretty cool. But here we are actually looking at 5 years: 1970, 1984, 1989, 91, and 92. So 1991, the only thing that was released was that bow. And I got sent a second one, so I decided to go ahead and put them both up because I had the room. And then I also managed to pick up the expansion pack, not just an arrow refill pack, but an actual expansion pack, because in between those 2 arrows there is an arrow holder that would slide onto the bow arm, and so you could now store 5 arrows, 4 in storage and 1 on the post. And I thought that was just a really cool thing to do, and to not just give you extra ammo, but to give you extra ammo storage was a really cool idea, and had that shipped all the way from Italy. You then have the Blastomatic and the Blastoball, each one released, first the blast ball, which held 1 ball, and then the Blast-O-Matic, which had an inline hopper, which allowed you to fire, I think, 3 or 4 in succession before you had to reload. So, you know, quadrupled your firepower. Pretty cool. Then I managed to get a pair of the Ghostbuster Proton Pack blasters that fire little marshmallow-looking things. Somebody sent me one. They got a hold of it, and then I ran across one at the toy fair at Puyallup when I was helping the curator with that. And so I went ahead and picked it up because I want to modify one of them to make it into a Proton Pack. And so I'll have one for the collection and one for the Proton Pack. And then finally 1970, where it all started, I have the 1970 ball and 2 of the gliders. They are made out of foam, like sponge kind of foam, like the ball was. And then they had more like craft foam wings, and then were a little bit weighted, and they fly fairly well. There were a couple of other things released that year that I wouldn't mind getting a hold of. There was a Super Ball, which I assume was just a larger ball, and a foam flying disc. Nerf flying disc that I doubt I will ever get my hands on those, but that would be pretty cool. But that is the current state of the collection and the handful of things that I'm missing. I do have all of them in a file on Google Docs. Link will be down in the description, of course, so if you want to go take a look and see if you have any of the things that I'm missing, or if you happen to come across one while searching or what have you, let me know. Donating things is awesome. I have paid for a number of the items on this collection, obviously, and I'm willing to, at the very least, help cover shipping, as well as compensate fairly for particularly rare items that I'd like to see. So that is the state of the collection. I am absolutely amazed at how complete it has gotten so quickly. Originally, when I decided I was going to put vintage blasters on the wall, I was figuring 4 or 5 of the neat ones that I happen to already have in the lounge area just on the wall for decoration. And then when I started looking into how many I actually had, I had a lot more than I realized. And I also realized I had all of that bare wall space that I really couldn't use for anything else because of how high up it is. And so I decided this would be a fun thing to do, to try to go for a full collection. And it's gotten pretty darn impressive. It isn't complete, and so I'm not going to try to claim that I have the most complete Nerf collection, a vintage Nerf collection out there, but it's got to be one of the most complete at this point, because I'm missing only, I think, like 20 or so blasters, and that's pretty cool. And the fact that a lot of these have some sentimental value, the bow that was sent to me, and then the 2 Hyperfires there were sent to me by Fusco, and those were apparently his very first ever Nerf blasters. And there's a couple of other in here where people said, I've had this since I was a kid, but I don't want to modify it, or it's broken, and so I decided I wanted to send it to the collection. And that is really, really amazing, and that it just gives it so much more meaning and value. And well, it just looks really, really cool on the walls in here. Well, there it is, the state of the collection. If you happen to have one of the ones that I'm missing, or you come across them, let me know. I would love to fill in the few gaps that are still out there. All right. Thank you all. Thank you for watching.